I'd go through the forestry service and see if I could find something out there that would be suitable for that.
Can we use that money for that?
Well, that we could save enough to get some roller skates for patrol and catch calls from Pocahontas. Anyway. All right.
Mr. President, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to see if we could, or give them the authority to at least explore the possibility of going to the forestry department, because I do know they need several vehicles over at the sheriff's department.
Okay.
So I don't know if we have to make an official motion for them to do that, for them to explore the possibility, or what.
We don't have to.
I'll find one and then come back and do it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next item is I would like to request approval to accept an invitation from Alcorn State University Extension Program. They're having a community resource development conference in October, and they asked me to be a facilitator at a special session on October 21st. This request your permission to attend.
And you just have one
By the county.
So,
It's been moved. Second. Proper second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those motions carried.
Thank you very much. Next, we have the Personnel Department. There are no personnel matters for your consideration. Next on the agenda would be Mr. Clarence Williams, Director of Human Capital Development, with one item for your consideration.
Well, Mr. President, board members, actually two items were concerning the same thing. The first is to get you to accept a grant from the Department of Public Safety for the female juvenile runaway detention. We approved the application a couple of years ago. Grant application has been granted in the amount of $100,000.
so
Second.
Been moved. Proper second discussion.
Who made that request? Who initiated that request?
Mr. Pickett.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The second is to approve a contract for the operation of that facility, and it's with the Mississippi Center for Police and Sheriff. And this grant they're known as professional, and it's $100,000 for administering the center.
Okay. Let's pray, board.
Mr. President.
Second.
Proper second discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Is there a match?
No.
No match.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. I'm ready to change that contract.
Okay.
So, are you providing a copy, please?
Okay.
All right.
There's a match. There is a match. So
There is a match on that.
$11,111.
And you all have it in your budget?
It's like, it comes out of the youth corps.
That part?
Comes out of the youth corps. Youth corps.
Okay, that's what I meant. Okay.
So they have the $11,000 in their budget for this grant.
Yes, I'm sorry. We've been taking all of them out of the youth court budget, all of the grants that we have to do a match on the Judge County budget.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right.
Thank you. Next item is the Personnel Department with no items for your consideration. Next, we have Ms. Lily Woods, Budget and Finance Coordinator. Several items for your consideration.
She's going to handle all these other items. I see
believe so.
these other things, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, President Smith and members of the board. First, I have the approval of the funding agreements, and I'll go through that list individually. First, we'll have the approval of the funding agreements for Smith Robinson in the amount of $7,600 for your approval. We'll take them individually.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Our next funding agreement is approved for the Economic Development Authority in the amount of $577,323. Is your approval?
Play roll.
So moved.
It's been moved. We have a second.
Second.
Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, our next one is for the for the extension service in the amount of $170,316.35.
Okay, pray forward. So moved. It's been moved.
Second.
Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Hinds County Health Department in the amount of $470,980.
Okay, pray forward.
Second.
Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
And we ask approval for the Human Resource Agency in the amount of $90,000.
Okay, pray forward. Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Our next approval is for the Mental Health Department in the amount of $1,238,701.
Okay, pray forward.
Second.
Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, I request approval for the Soil and Water Conservation in the amount of $155,000.
Okay, pray forward.
Second. Second.
Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, the Community Welfare and Health in the amount of $32,900. For your approval.
So moved.
Second.
Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Family and Children's Services in the amount of $12,500.
Second.
Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Approval for the Hinds County Southwest Livestock in the amount of $160.
Second.
It's been moved. Second. Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Approval for the 4-H Club in the amount of $800.
Okay, play forward.
Second.
Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, approval for Hinds County Homemakers, $700.
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Request approval for the Hinds County Livestock Association in the amount of $16,200.
Second.
Move, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay. Approval for the Fair Street Heritage Festival, $4,200.
Second.
It's been moved, proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Excuse me, when is that festival?
It's
Does anybody know off the top of their head when the festival is?
this month, I believe. It is usually on the same week of, no, actually, it's this month, actually. Okay.
Okay, we request
Did I carry that motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, I request approval for the International Ballet in the amount of $4,000.
Okay.
So moved.
Move.
Okay, the next group of
Second.
eight.
Wait a minute.
Move, proper second. I second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, the next group of agencies request exemption from dual funding. And the first request is from the American Red Cross, and their approval request is for $4,000.
Okay, ready to move it?
Second.
It's been moved. Second. Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, the next one is the Human Services, and their amount is $1,389,625.83.
Okay, let's ready for it.
Second.
It's been moved. Second. Proper second, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
And the next is the Jackson Hinds Library System in the amount of $1,542,000.
Ready for it?
So So moved.
Second.
Been moved, proper second, discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion is carried.
And next we'll have approval for the Greater Jackson Arts Council in the amount of $11,800.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved, proper second. You said Jackson, but it's in Jackson,
The
huh?
Greater Jackson Art Council.
Okay, it's been moved, proper second, discussion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion is carried.
Okay, and we have exemption from the funding agreement from CMPDD. And we want to have that recorded on our records, that they are exempt from the funding agreement.
Okay, Mr. Playboy,
So moved.
it's been moved. Second. Proper second, discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
Next, we would like the board to consider the selection of our auditors for the fiscal year 2011-2012. And you should have that correspondence on your desk. Our auditor selection this year would be BKD. And of course, you have two correspondents with their initial requests for their proposal as a professional services. The initial request was $84,000, but the negotiated rate that we are asking is $80,500. We're asking to enter into a contract with that amount, and we're asking the board president have permission to sign the contract after it's been reviewed by our attorney. The contract is approved by the state auditor's office.
Is that same from last year?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, the same company that we come.
Move for approval. It's been moved. Have a second? Second. Proper second, discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion is carried.
Thank you. We have one third item that we have under contracts, and that is for our GASB 45 OPEB aerial evaluation. We have the BPSM company that we would like to ask that this contract also be considered at a rate of $9,500, which is the same rate that we had 2 years ago when we had this service provided by this company. And you have a copy of that contract also on your desk.
Okay. Let's play forward.
So moved.
It's been moved. Second. Proper second, discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried.
All right, thank you.
Mr.
Okay.
President, this is what we have with as our commissioner, the election commissioner. Mrs. Frank.
Right, I was just getting ready. Did you have anything this morning, Ms. Brady?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the Board of Supervisors. I come this morning to appeal to you to consider a matter that was presented to you regarding legal counsel for the Hinds County Election Commission Office. On September the 12th, the Hinds County Election Commission Office had a meeting, and we were in unison on getting pre-approval for legal counsel because there were two cases pending the election, and that was Gay Pope and Leon Jones, although at that time they had not filed. And on September 19th, the board here approved that. However, all members of the election commission had not seen the request, so I don't know what was submitted to you, if it just asked for pre-approval or if it had stated a name. But there was like I said, an understanding when we had the meeting and we agreed to get the approval for legal counsel. It was also an understanding that we would come back and all of the commissioners would be able to submit names of attorneys that we would like to be considered. And on I only had another meeting. Well, they had a call meeting on September 26th. And all the commissioners were not notified of that. Commissioner Avery, Commissioner Rhodes, and Commissioner Cochran were the only ones present for that meeting. Commissioner Jamel Clark and myself were not given notification of that meeting. And so therefore we were not present, and our input was not a part of that meeting. And they elected Ben Piazza to be the attorney, and there has been conflicts and even presented before this board where Ben Piazza was representing not all of the election commissioners. Therefore, I think it's a conflict, and although they had that meeting and there was 3, but I think it should be considered invalid due to the fact that all of us did not even have an opportunity to be present. And I would like to ask that you, if there is a contract, to revoke that and let us go back where all of us can have a part in it, because we're not able to represent our constituency when we're not given the information. I also have prepared a letter that I would leave for each of you to read. This is just a synopsis of what the letter is about.
How do y'all go about giving notices? What process do you use to give notices to each member?
Normally there's a written notice that we're going to have a meeting on such and such a day. An example would be Friday, or at 10 o'clock. And that was not done. And this call meeting was done in haste, because they had the call meeting, and Mr. Clark, as I stated earlier, was not given a call. I have call ID on my home phone and my cell phone. I have proof no one tried to contact me. And I don't understand what the urgency was, because even if they had called, we could have met at 1 o'clock the same day. It just had to be that day. But since this meeting, nothing has occurred anyway. So there was no urgency to have that meeting other than to exclude Commissioner Clark and myself from attending. They knew that we wanted more names submitted.
Okay. Mr. Kelly?
I think my valid complaint is that in order for this to be a viable meeting, as with all of you, you wouldn't want to have a meeting that someone didn't know and then was going to vote on something as crucial as this.
Fortunately for this board, we have to publicly announce all of our official meetings. Apparently, the election commissioners are not bound by the same statute.
I have checked with the Secretary of State's office. I have checked our statutes, and the only thing that I'm told is this is what we go by. And that is the same thing that the Board of Supervisors. There is supposed to be a written notice. We don't even get, sometimes our office, among the commissioners, don't even get 3-day notice. And I understand that the written statute says there should be a 2-week notice.
If the commissioners are not in compliance with the statutes, then that is a matter for soon the state auditors or the attorney general. This board does not have the authority to supervise the commissioners, so to speak. So,
yes, ma'am, I understand that, but it is this board's prerogative to approve payment for something that was not submitted properly.
Yes, ma'am. We allowed commissioners to hire an attorney. So that's the extent of our authority. We did give the approval for you all to hire an attorney. Now, we do not select or we don't have the authority to select an attorney for the commissioners. I think in order to handle your concern would be if the meetings were not properly, if the meetings are supposed, if the general public is supposed to be notified of your meetings, then that would be your recourse. But it would not be within the, again, authority of this board to make the determination whether or not the meetings were properly announced.
I understand. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking that when time to pay this attorney, if the procedures that he was selected was not properly done, that he should not be paid by the Hinds County Board of Supervisors.
Right, and I'm going to defer to our board attorney because if an action was taken and it was inappropriate, then of course we will not be bound to approve the expenditures for that attorney.
That's why I'm here today.
But I think your recourse should not be the Board of Supervisors.
And I was going to add to that. You're absolutely right, Supervisor Calhoun, in that the recourse is not to the Board of Supervisors, but yes, the Election Commission is a public body bound by all of the laws and requirements of notice as any other public body. So any meeting that's held by the Election Commission should be published and notified not only to the public, but to the commissioners as a whole. And any decision that's made should be in the minutes of the Election Commission.
Okay. Well, at least I'm here. I'm putting on record that I am opposed.
Where should she? What can she do as a commissioner? What should she do?
There are probably several avenues that you could take, but I would probably first start at the Attorney General's office if you have a concern as to whether there was proper notification given to the public and the commission as a whole with regard to the action.
Okay. Well, at least it's on record here today that I came and I expressed my disapproval of what was going on. Like I said, I would leave these for you to read because just standing here, I was not on the agenda to, and I appreciate the opportunity that you gave me this time to speak to you and that I will follow up with Attorney Martin's recommendation.
You can give and deal. Thank you very much. Okay. We'll go now to our next item on the agenda. This is Ms. Molly. Is that our next?
Mr. President, we have emergency purchases at the county administrator.
Okay.
Okay, there is one emergency purchase for your approval. This is to pay an invoice in the amount of $615 from CNC Janitorial Services for services rendered on September 7th. This was due to water damage due to the results of Tropical Storm Lee in the Chancery building, Chancery Court building. Sorry.
Okay. Now,
We have 1 minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 minute extension. I'm sorry. For your review is 1 minute extension. However, no action is required. Thank you, sir.
okay.
Mr. President, the contracts that are on my list to present have already been presented to the board this morning, and I have 2 minute insertions. One is for a professional services agreement with WGK Engineers for the Newport Park project, the lighting project. And then I have a second that's actually on the agenda that I had delivered, which is the Homeland Security Cooperative Agreement between Hinds County and the Mississippi Department of Public Safety. There's no requirement for a vote or action on your part, and I do have items for executive session.
Okay. Mr. Lewis. Yes, sir.
Good morning again, Mr. President. On everybody's board, I have one item for your consideration. This is a resolution to the Hinds County Board of Supervisors adopting the Hinds County multi-jurisdictional hazardous mitigation plan updated for the year 2011 through 2015. And I gave you a copy the other day of it. It's basically updating the Hinds County hazardous mitigation plan.
Let me ask, and I would say draft.
You would get.
Have there been any changes since you gave us these copies?
No, because all the public hearings have already been done. That was prior to it. So you would get a copy as soon as I get this resolution signed and get it back to the CLPD, and they would submit several copies that won't identify them as being draft. They will be the official copies because this is a multi-jurisdiction thing. It goes along with the communities of Bolton, Edwards, Raymond, and Utica, and those signatures have to be signed also.
What's the difference in, we do this every how?
Every 5 years.
Every 5 years. Now, what's the difference in well, that may be tough question, but I was trying to see what the difference instead of the last one versus this one.
Basically, everything is basically the same. You might have a few areas that have been identified as critical areas, but basically everything is the same because there's nothing new as far as Hinds County.
No new rules and regulations that we've had to follow.
No, it's basically
that has to be followed in this next one. Okay. What's played the board?
So,
It's been moved. Proper second discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Pete? Billy?
Mr. President, I'd like to bring up Mark Bailey and Neil Schaefer to conduct
Okay.
findings in court. Congratulations on your investigation.
It's been a while since Mr. Bailey been here.
This is where they charge us the big one. This is where they charge us the big one.
Yeah.
Mr. Fisher, you see I moved them up to the front, right?
You're here for the value engineering presentation.
Yeah, I'm just.
He used to be our county before we got back. He hasn't been around for so many years.
Good morning. I'm Mark Bailey with Neil Schaefer Engineers. You have to get a flag so you won't get it. Can I get a copy back? Someone will prepare.
All presentations have to give the clerk's office a copy.
I appreciate this opportunity to kind of present to you all a little aspect that we did for the board in regards to the Clinton corridor. Neil Schaefer was hired by the board through state aid and through our contract that we have going with the Mississippi Department of Transportation, in which we provide these similar services to MDOT. But basically, I'll give you a little agenda here. I just want to talk a minute about what we call a value engineering study, how we conducted it, and then a little bit of our findings. A value engineering study basically is a attempt to look at a project through a new set of eyes, to look at areas in regards to cost cutting, to time reduction, risk management type efforts. And this is mandated by federal law for projects that are valued at over $25 million with federal aid participation. And of course, this project overall is almost $100 million in effort here. And what the process involves is we're presenting some information from the design team and the Department of Public